Hi, this is actually Friday, September 27th. So I guess if you're watching this video, you really waited until the last minute. So just really quickly, I want you to really consider if you're watching the video and couldn't make a class, given the fact that I offer so many makeup options, maybe it's time, to really think about your priorities and whether or not my class is one of them. No judgment, just there comes a time when you're juggling a lot of activities. So just want you to keep that in mind, keep that in perspective. Because I do offer this class online from 9:30 to 10, week 1 and week 2. So that's an online option that you have. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. This month's prompt is about buying or leasing a car. Now, I know you're not ready for that yet. But here's what I know about teenagers, being the mom of 2 adult children. You think you know all the answers and you stop listening to mom and dad. Even though you know our perspective and our point of view, you're going to make decisions on your own when you graduate from college, and you are going to be cash poor. You think you're going to get out of med school and make a 6-figure salary, and that is just not going to happen. My niece just graduated from medical school. She's making $78,000 after 10 years in her residency, working 80 and 90 hours a week. And she will tell you, I didn't sign up for this. I expected to be making money. And her 2 parents, who are both physicians, just laughed at her. So you have to pay your dues, no matter what your degree is in. And leasing, renting, borrowing is huge right now, not just in cars. There's Rent the Runway to rent an evening gown. There's renting clothes at Newly, renting an apartment. Odds are pretty good. You're not going to be buying a house as soon as you graduate from college. You're going to be borrowing someone else's owned property. Okay, so we're going to look at the pros and cons of that. So I'm going to start with a video and pop that in. Whoops, sorry, that's not supposed to be there. Here we go. Let's start with this. I did have it set up. It just
You're looking for the car of your dreams. Should you buy or lease? When you buy, if you're not paying outright, you get a loan to pay for that vehicle. But when you lease, you pay for a portion of the vehicle's total value. And at the end of the term, you either return it or you pay off the remaining balance. Consumer Reports money editor Octavio Blanco has identified 5 different types of drivers. Which one are you? First up, the road warrior. You drive more than 15,000 miles a year. Octavio says as a marathon driver, you've got a clear choice.
If you plan to put tons of miles on your car, you're better off buying rather than leasing. Why? It's because most lease plans have mileage limits of between 10 and 15,000 miles per year. And if you go over that limit, you're going to have to pay a hefty fee. Now, on the other hand, if you buy your car outright, you don't have to keep track of the miles at all.
Next, we have the freshman. Young drivers with little or no credit history are going off to college or have student loans and are strapped for cash. If you fit this bill, then you might want to say yes to the lease.
If you're new to the game, you might be better off leasing rather than buying. Why? It's because leases generally come with lower monthly payments. And that's great when you need to pay back your student loan or take care of other monthly bills. And don't forget, when you're at the dealership, you can negotiate a lease, just like you would negotiate the purchase of a new vehicle.
Number 3, the early adopter. One of the biggest perks of leasing a new vehicle is that you get to experience a new car every 2 to 3 years.
Leasing is great if you want to be on the cutting edge of technology with the latest safety features and infotainment systems. It's also great if you want to experience the latest in electric car technology, where we're going to see big improvements in how far a car can go on a single charge.
Then you have the Ding King. He or she plans on holding onto that car a long time, but expect a few bumps, bangs, and boo-boos along the way. If that's you, then you'll want to buy.
Damage to your vehicle can be more stressful when you lease rather than when you own. That's because of the hefty fees involved. However, when you own, wear and tear on your vehicle could reduce its trade-in or resale value.
And last but not least, the penny saver. If you're looking for the cheapest monthly payments right now, leasing is the way to go.
Payments on a lease are usually less than when you buy
This
because
is our
you're only
number one
paying for
argument,
the
everybody, for
depreciation
today.
of the vehicle during the term of the lease, plus taxes, fees, and interest. But that
Okay,
doesn't
so-
mean that you get a
I'm gonna stop there. All right. Okay, everybody. So we're going to talk about what's the difference between buying and leasing. Okay, so let me just kind of make it real simple for you. Buying a car, if you're lucky, and you can walk in a dealership and pay $65,000 for your Lexus and write one check. That's my mother and father-in-law. You walk out with your car and it costs you $65,000. Yay! Most people can't do that. Most people have to arrange a loan payment with the bank and pay off that car, usually over 5 years. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means you're going to pay the $65,000 price tag plus interest. And you're going to end up paying a lot more for the car than the sticker price for the car because the bank has to have a reason for giving you a loan payment. So what determines a loan payment? Your credit record, your history, your credit rating. If you have a high paying job, you usually get a loan payment that's a little bit lower, an interest rate that's a little bit lower. So there's a lot of factors in a loan payment. But here's the gist of it. If you apply for a loan payment, you have to have documentation of a job, of a salary, and sometimes you have to have someone co-sign on the loan. And you're going to end up with a larger monthly payment. But at the end of that 5-year loan payment schedule, you will own the car. So whatever happens to that car is up to you. You will take care of the maintenance on that car. You will insure the car. You will make sure to keep it clean. Everything about that car is on your shoulders. But you can sell that car if you don't like it. You can turn it in and trade it in at any time. And at the end of 5 years, when your loan is paid off, you own the car outright. And most people on average keep their car for 10 years, which means you've got 5 years of no payment. So this is why financial experts say 9 times out of 10, you want to buy a car over leasing a car. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that up front. But we're going to argue today for leasing a car. So why would you borrow a car that belongs to someone else? I'm guessing you've been on vacation and you've rented a car. Usually it's a short-term rental, a couple weeks, maybe longer. But you go in and you go to Hertz or Avis or Budget rent a car at the airport. If you've ever to get around a car with your car was serviced, you borrow that car and it's kind of expensive. The daily rate's kind of expensive on vacation. But it's a short-term solution because it's probably cheaper than paying for a cab or paying for Uber rides for your whole family. So you have to look at the cost analysis. So leasing a car, what's the difference between buying and leasing a car? When you lease a car, it's genuinely for 3 years. It's a short-term fix. Why would you do that if at the end of 3 years, all the money you've put into it is just to borrow it? You give it back to the car dealership. They then own the car that you've borrowed for 3 years. They can then have the residual value on the car and they can sell the car for a profit. Why would you do that? Why would you lease a car that you don't get anything out of? Number one, lower monthly payment. When you are, as I said at the beginning of this class, graduating from college, mom and dad are going to cut ties. They're going to cut the money off and you will have zero savings. And you're going to have to work your way up. You're going to be cash poor. Maybe that's a time for a short-term solution. just for 3 years, knowing I'm just going to try to get my career off the ground, I'm going to pay a lower monthly payment. Why would I do that? Because you also got to pay rent. You got to pay for groceries. You got to pay for doctor visits, dentist visits, clothes, going out. All that's on you. And all that adds up. So a lower monthly payment means you can put more money elsewhere. And this is why we're even having this conversation. This is what they do. They dangle a carrot and say, but you can lease a car. Okay. And what's really attractive about leasing a car is you can lease a luxury car for a pretty low payment. You look at all the luxury cars out there. Are they leased or owned? You don't know. So here's a really cool thing about leasing a luxury car. If you go in your packet, I'm going to share the screen here. Go to
Car for less because leasing can.
Okay, so I'm going to go to our. I know I had them. That's not it. That's it. Okay, if you scroll down here, there's a great article about, it's right here, cheapest and most expensive cars to maintain. Well, luxury cars are expensive to fix and repair. Okay, so let me give you an idea of the most affordable cars to maintain. If you want to buy a car, these top 10 cars are the cars to buy. Toyota Prius, Toyota Corolla, Mitsubishi Mirage, Honda Civic, Tesla Model 3, Nissan Sentra, Mazda 3, Lexus ES350, Toyota Supra, Toyota Camry. So let's say you have a Toyota Prius and you buy the car, which you should. A Toyota is a great car. Don't ever lease a Toyota. The average yearly maintenance cost for your Toyota Prius would be around $400. The 10-year estimate would be about $4,600. Okay, the likelihood of needing a repair more than $500 is 11%. Okay, that's great news, which is why you buy. The most expensive vehicles to maintain, the BMW, Land Rover, Range Rover, Jaguar, Mercedes-Benz, there are 4 trucks in this category. Ram 2500, Porsche 911, BMW X2, Ford F450, Chevrolet Silverado, Porsche Cayenne. Well, I'm going to scroll down to the Porsche Cayenne, and I just want to give you an idea of maintenance and repair costs. So we talked about the Toyota Prius being $4,600 over 10 years. That's how much it would cost just to maintain it and repair it, keep it running. The average 10-year repair for the Porsche Cayenne, which is a sweet ride, it's the Porsche SUV, is $21,000. That's a $15,000 difference. You're going to pay $15,000 to repair that Porsche. There's a 60.9% chance that it will need a significant repair in a 10-year period. Okay, so just going to tell you, this is why leasing a car might be smart. You know that leased cars, well, if you don't know, I'll just tell you, when you buy or lease a car, the first 3 years are the best 3 years. Okay, so what a car bought or owned does in 3 years is it depreciates in value. What does depreciate mean? Okay, your iPhone, the minute you take it home, right? The minute you purchase it, it's brand new, right? I don't even know what model that is. And now it's 15, 16, I don't even know. There's always a newer model to replace it, and it has to be updated. Things start going wrong with it. So anything, once you purchase it or lease it, after normal wear and tear, it's going to lose value. A pair of tennis shoes would do that. The first day you wear your $600 pair of tennis shoes, just hypothetically, they look fantastic, right? They look good. There's no scuff marks on them. About 3 months later, even if you wanted to sell them on eBay, you wouldn't get the original price for them because there's normal wear and tear. Well, wear and tear on a car, the first 3 years or 30,000 miles, really most, if you generally repair your car, you do your oil change, your tire rotation, your fluid changes, you just check your car, it is under factory warranty, which means for 3 years or 30,000 miles, nothing does go wrong. So if you're leasing a car in that first 3 years, the likelihood of anything going wrong is pretty minimal, right? Even if it's a luxury car, because it's new, it's newer. Does that make sense, everybody? So a couple things about the upside of leasing. You're driving the car in its most trouble-free years, the first 3 years. You're always driving the latest model, which has the latest safety features, right? Just to give you an idea, my husband just bought a new car. My car is in the parking lot right now, 6 years old. And I was using his backup cameras and I was like, oh my God, they're so clear. Like they are so clear. And the gadgets in his car. And I was like, not that I don't have backup camera, but and I cleaned them, but they don't have the clarity. They're not new anymore. Okay, so there is normal wear and tear. Okay, so here's another thing about leasing a car. Car dealerships incentivize leasing. So they'll even include the maintenance at their dealership for you to bring the car in for an oil change, filter change, tire rotation, and they will maintain the car for you. They can put that in the contract. Now, you're thinking, that sounds too good to be true. It is too good to be true. But the car dealership benefits. At the end of 3 years, they have a documented maintenance record. They know the car's in good condition. They can sell that car for a certified pre-owned vehicle and make a huge profit. And you just got to drive it for 3 years and turned it in, but they're going to flip it. They're going to make a profit off of it. So why would you do that? Why would you lease a car? Well, number one, you want a lower monthly payment. And we kind of already went over that. If they're going to include the maintenance as well, you don't have any repair costs, any maintenance costs, and odds are pretty good it's going to be covered under warranty. Secondly, you can lease a luxury car. Now, why would you want to lease a luxury car? What if you're in a business where you need to appear successful? And this is a terrible example. I'm just going to use the realtor example. I did that earlier. You're selling $1 million house, $2 million house, and you're showing houses in your Toyota Prius versus your Porsche Cayenne. See what I mean? Your client gets in the Porsche Cayenne and the perception is, oh, this realtor is doing really well. They really know their stuff. So a lot of businesses will lease luxury cars for perception, to appear successful. Pretty smart, actually, if you think about it. Not to mention, when you show accounting, you can write off your leased car for a business expense. And on your accounting record, it's just the monthly payment. If you had owned the car for a business expense, you would have to track mileage. You'd have to track depreciation rates. You'd have to track interest payments, which is a little bit more of a hassle. And let's say you sold the car for a profit. That could be a tax liability, whereas a leased car, for accounting reasons, is much easier for tax purposes. Okay. So you can drive a higher priced, better equipped vehicle that you might otherwise not be able to afford if you did the traditional loan payment. There could be significant tax advantages for business owners. And at the end of this 3 year, a lot of people just like to drive new cars. You turn it in at the end of 3 years and you get a new car. Okay, so I'm going to switch back here to our, and there's a great chart here just to kind of compare leasing and buying a car. Strange smell over here. Okay, so leasing and buying a car. When you buy a car, you own the vehicle. You get to keep it as long as you want it. When you lease a car, you don't own the vehicle. You get to use it, borrow it. You return it at the end of the lease. And at the end of the lease, you can do one of two things. If you're done with it, you're like, I drove it, don't have to do anymore, you turn it in. If you like the car and you know it's been maintained, you can pay off the residual balance on the car and you can own the car. Upfront costs, tax, title, and license, down payment, necessary for both. Monthly payments are lower for a lease, considerably higher for a loan. If you own your car, you can pay it off at any time. My husband and I did that when my dad passed away. I inherited some money and we just said, let's take all our, let's debt free. Let's get debt free. Let's pay off all the cars. So we'd only owned it like a year and a half and we just decided to pay it off. Well, you can't do that on a lease, right? You're kind of stuck. But usually if it's a car you like and you know what you're getting into, you're stuck with it for 3 years, you can turn it in. If you own the car, you sell, you trade the car in, it's your responsibility. At the end of a lease, you walk away or you buy the car. Any car bought or leased will depreciate in value. There will be normal wear and tear on the vehicle. Mileage. If you own the car, you can put as many miles on the car as you want. Now, why would you not want to put miles on the car? Well, that's going to depreciate the value of your car. The more miles you put on the car, the less value it will be if you ever need to resell it. So for example, my car right now has 92,000 miles on it and I'm getting a little nervous. Yeah, right after the 100,000 mile mark, things start happening, repairs start happening. It's not new anymore. My car is 6 years old, but I haven't had a payment in 5 years either, or 4.5 years. When you lease a car, you are limited in mileage. They don't want you to go over 30,000 miles. They really don't. And if you do, well, you can arrange that in a contract as well. If you have wear and tear on the car, extra miles on the car, it's no big deal if you own it. If you're renting a car, you do have to make sure that you keep it in optimal condition. At the end of the loan term, you have no payments, you're driving the car, which is why a lot of people, keep their cars for 10 years for the rest of it. At the end of the lease, you can finance the purchase of the car or lease or buy another car. Okay, so leasing a vehicle, there's a great article here. I really liked it. Not to lease a car, okay. It actually makes sense to lease a car despite what your parents have said. This is from Business Insider. We know that car prices have skyrocketed since prior to the pandemic. Choosing to buy a car instead of leasing made more sense before the pandemic when the cars cost under $30,000 and could be paid off pretty easily. The average transaction price of a car today is $46,000, not $30,000. Loan terms are averaging 5 or 6 years because car owners have to bring down monthly payments. Affordability wise, we live in an economic climate right now where leasing a car might be something to do in the interim. Maybe this economic downturn is post-pandemic related, and maybe it's a short-term solution to lease a car, which will give you lighter debt. You have the opportunity to take out a smaller loan, which can cut down the size of your monthly costs. You have bumper to bumper coverage, which I've already gone over. When you need a vehicle for your business, I've already gone over that. When they incentivize it, and they really do incentivize luxury cars. When the need for a car is only temporary, this is interesting. If you take a job in a remote location, if you turn over cars quickly, some people like new cars. Okay, so I'm going to stop share there. Wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to pull the outline up. Here we go. That's what I wanted to do. All right, here we go. So most financial experts will advise buying a car is the preferred choice. In ideal situations, this is good advice. If the purchaser can pay cash or can put down a reasonable down payment with plenty of savings left over, and you have a great job and you're making a lot of money, you have the financial means, you should buy the car. You have complete control over what you can do with that car, painting it, selling it, whatever you want to do, as long as you own the car. The problem today is car prices are soaring. $30,000 in 2019, $46,000 today. Whether the choice has been made to buy or lease a car, the bottom line is once the car leaves the sales lot, the car begins to lose value or depreciate. Depreciation means the value of the car lowers over time, mainly due to wear and tear. So you're going to see a lease agreement no longer than 3 years. That is the standard lease agreement. They will not let you lease longer than that. Luxury vehicles and electric cars have the highest depreciation rates. What does that mean? It means they're going to break down and they're going to wear and tear faster. So a luxury car is going to need more repairs, more costly repairs, and so is an electric car. So you might want to lease those and not buy them. Electric cars specifically, this is a great argument, which I did not know before prior to doing this, is electric vehicles are new technology that's constantly evolving and changing. You buy an EV, electric vehicle, say a Tesla, 5 years from now, you could have outdated battery and outdated charging technology. No one's going to want to buy that. Ah, there you go. So the strongest arguments in favor of leasing a car are the significantly lower payments, the lower costs when it comes to maintenance. Can't argue with that. And leasing a luxury or electric car for a business expense might be a wise investment. So when someone is financially strapped, leasing a car might make more economic sense. They not only save with the lower monthly payment, they will likely have low maintenance costs as well. And as a bonus, they can lease a more expensive car. So obviously the lower monthly payment, we've already talked about that. A new leased car, everything's going to be under warranty. And what if the dealership dangles that carrot and says, we'll include the maintenance with your lease agreement? Okay. Cars with more technological advancements, more safety features, they're new, they're less likely to break down. Okay. Leasing certain brands of luxury cars make more sense than buying. And I already went over that with the Toyota Prius and the Porsche Cayenne. You're not going to have a car break down usually in the first 3 years. And if you do, it's covered under factory warranty. But here's the deal. If you can get a luxury car and lease it for a lower payment and get it and drive it for the first 3 years, you probably can't afford it otherwise. And most people know that because the repair costs, the maintenance costs after 3 years is going to break the bank. Number 2, leasing a luxury vehicle or EV, innovative electric car, appeals to upwardly mobile workers who want to present a successful business image, especially if it's being written off as a business expense. And by the way, y'all, I took the business approach. I didn't even take the cultural value approach. I want to seem wealthy. I want to appear like I'm making more money than I am. I can't tell you how many average houses I go by and I see a Tesla or a Lexus and a BMW and a Mercedes in the driveway. And I'm like, you're living in a $500,000 house and you can afford that car? You know, are you leasing it or are you buying it? Right? So besides leasing a luxury car, it might be a better deal to lease an EV. So here's an interesting little tidbit I found out. The federal government will issue a $7,500 tax credit for a purchased EV. However, if you buy the EV, you have to meet restrictive federal requirements, cost, income level, proof of where the car was made. And then you have to be approved for the credit. When leasing, there are less stringent criteria to meet. So leasing means the driver is not stuck with an outdated battery or charging standards. You can replace it with a newer, updated EV. Actually makes sense. Many status-hungry consumers, hello, we live in America, prefer to drive new and expensive cars. Leasing is a better fit for them if they're in the habit of trading in cars every few years anyway. I can give you the financial data. I can give you the information. It will not matter to several drivers out there. They want to appear that they can afford the luxury car. They don't care. And they only want to drive it in the first 3 years. They don't want to drive an old car, period. But for business reasons, it makes sense. Sorry, didn't even choke on anything, just my own spit. If the leased car is being used for a business, from an accounting perspective, leasing makes it more monetary sense because there's no upfront capital investment. When leasing a car and deducting as a business expense, it's easier to write off the actual payment. than if you owned it. So even though it may seem counterintuitive to lease a car, in some cases, leasing a car can improve the image necessary. So just want to end with this. Those in favor of leasing cars argue it is an affordable option, allowing for smaller monthly car payments. And I do think if this is a short-term solution, like I'm not going to do this forever. I just graduated from college. I really need to watch my money. I need to save what I can. I need a lower monthly payment. Then maybe that's something you do and save up that money for 3 years and then turn in that car or buy it at the end of 3 years and know that you did the right financial thing for the short term. So I really think leasing is a short-term solution. It is evident on social media posts, which curate this, lavish lifestyle, that people want to lease cars because they would not be able to afford the luxury or electric vehicle otherwise. It's not considered a wise investment by most financial experts. Leasing a car means you're basically putting money into someone else's car and turning it in, and you don't have any equity in the car. You have nothing to show for it at the end of 3 years. In the long run, buying is usually a preferable option, but there are exceptions to the rule, which I hope I proved today. So again, thank you for watching. This concludes Proponents of Leasing a Car. And if you could, since you waited this long, it's September 27th, turn in your essay as soon as possible. All right, thanks and have a great day.